Today we're talking to Matt, a rock artist, songwriter, and producer who had the chance of working with Paul McCartney. We'll be talking about his journey as a musician, what it's like writing with Paul McCartney, the lessons he learned from Paul, and making a career in music. So without further ado, let's give the floor to Matt.
I'm Matt. I'm an artist in a rock metal band, Paradise Fell. Songwriter, producer, professional coffee maker in the morning, and I've been mentored by Sir Paul McCartney.
So how did your journey into music begin?
When I was much younger, I kind of always had the idea that I wanted to either be a touring drummer, actually. But it all kind of started because my sister was getting drum lessons at school at the time. And I used to look at it and go like, that is the coolest thing ever. I was obsessed. At one point for Christmas, instead of anything else, I asked for a guitar and fell in love with playing chords and singing and writing songs, basically. I think mum and dad kind of got the gist that I wasn't going to do the simple, normal life, and that they kind of had to sit me down and talk about, okay, well, if you want to do this music thing, you should probably do it properly. So we decided to go to music uni up in Liverpool called LIPA, and that was really, I got the opportunity to be mentored by Sir Paul McCartney up there.
So how did that mentorship come about, and what was the experience like?
It was, the Paul McCartney thing was kind of a trip, really. At uni, they made it this thing where it was like, you build up these 3 years and your portfolio in these 3 years, and then essentially get judged on the portfolio that you put together. They choose like a handful, I think, every year. I was super lucky to be able to get the opportunity to do that, and it was such a big sort of stamp of approval. As are always these things, I was so nervous about it beforehand. They told you to go to the session with a few ideas that you wanted to explore and just cover whatever you could cover. So I guess that in itself was good learning, because I wish I'd kind of realized how good learning that was, because you then go on and you start writing with other artists, and however long the session is, to bounce off of this person in the room and make something amazing. I made sure my ideas were very I thought they were amazing little ideas, small ideas, but nothing too fleshed out, because I really, really wanted to kind of work with him and see how it all worked out. I really loved the fact that it was just a songwriting session. You know, we had a couple of acoustic guitars, a piano, and just some voices, and we were just kind of making songs that would be amazing on an acoustic guitar, and then fill it out from there. I just make the songs absolutely amazing first. It was crazy. It was crazy to see his process. He very much Paul McCartney'd his thing on it. When you listen to the Beatles and you listen to his solo work, there's very definitely a style to how he writes his songs, particularly in different eras of his life, I think. And it was kind of cool to see, like, when you were in the room with him and we were working on these couple of ideas, like, he's got his way of working, the structures that he uses, the way that he kind of sets up taglines and ends of choruses and stuff. And it was cool to kind of see that happening in real time in front of my eyes. His head just like flows, you know, spitting ideas, where I spat something out and he'd be like, oh, just try this. And he would just, like, the melody would just come straight out, and he'd be like, that's actually a really cool melody, let's try that. And, you know, so it was very cool. It was very surreal, but it was over way too quickly, in summary, essentially.
Surreal sounds like the right word. So what was Paul like as a person?
What was he like as a person? He was lovely as a person. He was like, I always tell people that he was a little bit like your uncle.
Like a bird needs a break. A bird needs a break. What are you talking?
He was very creative. He was like very like inspired. You know, it wasn't just me that did this session. You know, he'd been doing, I think there was five or six people that got it. And even when we were doing my session, it was as though he was the most exciting person on the planet to write a song about what we were writing a song about, you know. And we did a couple of ideas. I think we'd even started a third idea. Every single time it was very much like a kid in a candy shop, like every time. And was there anything that surprised me? Probably the first thing there, that he was so normal, that I was like, this can't be real. This guy is like, you know, one of the most successful songwriters of all time. And he's kind of just sat there, just super chill. It was walking into that room and me literally dripping in sweat, being like the most nervous human on the planet, and just walking in there and him just being an incredibly like humble, normal person was just very strange. I guess the second thing, I can't really, it's not very fair on him, because it was a warm day, but like, he was wearing like socks and sandals, and I noticed that straight away. So that was the thing that surprised me. Like I came into this thing and I was like, I'm so warm that I can't wear any socks or anything right now. But he was rocking the socks and sandals and actually really pulling it off. 3/4 length shorts as well. Like it was iconic, to be fair. So that was the other thing that kind of took me by surprise a little bit, for sure.
Okay, so were there any specific takeaways that changed the way you make music?
I think from the writing point of view, the main things that really struck me were that, like the Beatles songs, like particularly the older ones, very much simple A, simple B, like don't overcomplicate stuff, and have a very catchy A and have a very catchy B, all of which are setting up for that last line or last two lines, you know, like it's your punchline. And that's definitely something that I've stuck with. I think even when it comes to writing choruses and verses and pre-choruses and whatever, the whole message of keeping it simple and trying to keep things super simple and making it all about building this emotion and then releasing the emotion on the tagline, I think is one of the most important things about the process that I learned that day. I would just say that from a songwriting point of view, if you're talking about an A section and a B section, I wouldn't say that either of them is more important when you do verse and choruses, particularly that era of music, the 60s and maybe afterwards as well. Like there was a lot of like importance placed on the A section as much as the B section. You know, the verse was not a verse, it was like catchy section number 1 followed by catchy section number 2 that maybe moved to some different chord. There's a perfect amount of syllables, or like the perfect syllables for the shape of the melody or word. Like this idea that certain words will sound better even if you've got the same syllables on certain melodies as well, that sort of concept. Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of parallels between, I think, the melodic math thing of Max Martin's, the things I was learning, the ways I was learning that Paul would write. Even in that short session, it was quite clear that melody is probably the most important thing. I would say, like on the melodic math thing, I think there's a perfect set of lyrics for whatever melody you have. You know, if you like to write your melodies with the just phonation and na 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 na, like not actually giving it lyrics when you're writing it, there's always a set of words which will be the perfect feeling of lyrics for the melody you're singing. I guess given that sense, yeah, there is more weight on melody than there is on lyrics. I think in the Paul session, like it was quite clear that melody was the most important thing. Whilst every single lyric might not have been important to get perfect, which I think is fair to say in that session, it wasn't like the biggest stress. What was really important to him and the way that he was writing was the theme and what you're trying to say. Every line is supporting that and is making it even stronger, or is creating more tension before you say that. You know, "You Break My Heart" is the theme of the song. Like every line had to do something to set up that topic when you reached it, I guess. Which I guess is kind of a similar thing with the Max Martin thing. You know, the melody is king and you just find the best words to fit that melody and support the emotion. It all comes down to emotion every time, I guess.
Okay, so you went to uni, did the McCartney session. Awesome. What did you do after uni to make an actual career in music?
When I finished at uni, I kind of freaked out a little bit. I was like, how am I going to make any money? How's this going to work? I'm still pretty rubbish at songwriting and productions, and I just wanted to like sing rock songs in stadiums and be the cool, you know, rock star, because I didn't want to be a producer, because I thought it was really nerdy and like techie behind the computer. But slowly I started to make my own demos and stuff and really like got the bug, fell in love with like just creating the sounds and turning the idea from my head. Started to do a little bit of work producing for people, just trying to shape my craft and kind of hone my skills a little bit and kind of really fall in love with it. You know, it was a bit of a journey at first. I was never sure I wanted to be a producer, and I kind of slowly fell in love with it. No one obviously wanted to work with me yet, so I had to try and figure out how to make that happen. So I started making my own stuff and trying to put myself out there, freelance platforms and stuff. So I did that for several years, and at the time was building up like platforms. Someone would basically say, I want to copy this song as closely as possible, insert big artist and song, please make it as close as you can without me getting sued. And I would hate every moment of it, but at the same time be like, this is just going to put some money in my pocket so that I can get that microphone that I need and buy the computer and kind of start building up my stuff for songwriting. So worked for a handful of major coffee chains, was fired from pretty much all of them when I forgot to tell them that I was working in music and that I'd be on tour a lot and that I would be in sessions on weekends and stuff. So I kind of blagged my way through a couple of coffee jobs, being a barista. I did actually love making coffee, to be fair. I will say that. I'm obsessed with coffee, and so it was kind of the closest thing I could do to not hating everything but also still earning some money. So coffee shop sustained me for a little while. Managed to leave the kind of coffee shop job. Went and did a contract playing guitar in a cover band 7 days a week abroad, which sounds dreamier than it was for sure. But again, it was music. So I managed to quit doing the coffee stuff and was doing that and making music. I think none of us really realize until you start doing it how much like headspace you need for making music and making good music and making music which actually resonates with people. You need to like give a lot of yourself to that process. I think I found from doing all these 3-4 different types of things that whatever allowed me, even if it wasn't making me the best money, whatever allowed me to survive but kept my head completely free for songwriting was the best option.
Yeah, that's so important. Okay, so final question. What's your advice for artists who are trying to break through?
I'm not there yet, so I don't have the exact answer, but I would say the key 2 things I always try and work on are 100% believing in yourself, like to the point of people thinking you're absolutely crazy. Like delusion is so necessary in this industry if you want to go anywhere. Like I'm at the point now where I'm totally crazy about it, to the point that I'm like, I'd firmly believe if I go in any room anywhere, like I deserve to be there, because there's so many things that will knock you down, so many like pitfalls in this industry where if you let that sort of negativity creep in anywhere, it will just get you for sure in the industry. And the other thing is just being like really nice and just trying to be as lovely as you can and make as many friends as you can, because network firstly is so important, and this is something I'm terrible at, but I'm lucky to have a great manager and a great team around me that help to network. But if you don't network and you don't have a network, you have to sort that out, because that is the only way that anything happens. And the whole "it's not what you know, it's who you know" is so true. Like you'll get so many opportunities by knowing the right people. So I'd say they're the 2 key things, is just be like, to get to that excellent level, be obsessed with it all the time. Like you have to like eat, breathe, sleep, eat again, music and nothing else. And you gotta be delusional crazy about yourself and just be nice, I guess.
Hearing how Matt made a career in music and was mentored by Paul McCartney was super inspiring. What stuck wasn't fame or technique, it was simplicity, emotion, and the feeling of the melody that most mattered. And maybe that's the real secret to greatness. So be sure to follow Matt's band Paradise Fell, subscribe to our channel for more, and if this video inspired you, let us know in the comments below who would you want to write a song with. See you next time.